Recording? Yes, we're recording. Hi everybody, well this is an introduction to the introduction. The video itself is about 20 minutes long, so grab yourself a cold one of those if that's your thing, or a hot one of those, which is in my case a cup of coffee. Cheers. Sit back, relax, enjoy the video. If like me you like to give things a go, you'll have no problems doing this. It's a fairly straightforward job, takes a little bit of time, but with a bit of patience and perseverance you can get it done. As ever, ride safely, hope you enjoy the video, and here it is now. Thank you. Hi everybody, hope you're well. Thank you for clicking on my channel. Firstly, if you like what you see, please feel free to smash that subscribe button, that'd be great. If you've got any comments to make, either good comments or not so good comments, yeah, I appreciate any comments, and that just helps me to improve the content of the channel. So kicking off then, what are we talking about? Well, as you all know, the Africa Twin, this is my Africa Twin, 2017 model. The rear shock is just a tad on the soft side. I've got the suspension set up for me as a 85 kilo rider with all my kit on. So solo riding the bike is pretty much okay, but when I take my good lady on the back with all the luggage, it's a tad bouncy on the rear of the bike. So what we're going to do today is just fit a Hyperpro spring to the rear suspension unit. All the details of where I purchased it are from below. I got it from a place in the UK called Rugged Roads. Brilliant service with them, and it cost me about £74. I put the price here for the spring. I've gone for the black spring, they do it in purple, and the option I went for was the one that's recommended. Just increases the seat height by 20 millimeters, and before I committed myself though, I just put a little bit of wood, which was 20 mils thick, under the rear wheel, popped on the bike, and just made sure I could touch terra firma. I'm 5'9", and as it is now, I can put both feet on the floor. Can't flat foot it, but then with the 20 mil bit of wood under the rear tyre, still had no problems with touching the ground with my appropriate motorcycle footwear on. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a look at fitting the Hyperpro spring for the 2017 Honda Africa Twin. So what do we get in the box then? Obviously we get the lovely Hyperpro spring and a spring manual information booklet. Gives you all the information about setting up suspension, etc. But more importantly though, on the back of this little manual we get a bike specific, spring specific setup, and it does say that the rear spring, the diameter one end is narrower than the other end. So in this case this is 80 mils at the top and 85 mils at the bottom, and they say that the narrower diameter that should be facing upwards towards the HPA, and I presume that's the hydraulic preload adjuster. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to take the rear wheel off. That's a 5-minute job, no more than that. Take the rectifier off. That's a hopefully 2-minute job, and then try and wiggle the thing out, having left the swing arm on. I've got no intention of taking that rectifier swinging arm off. Obviously I do a little bit of video. I'll try and give you a real-time timeline as to how long I reckon it would take you to take it off without, you know, having to do a video of it, and then we'll see if I can come up with any solutions which may make it easier for you. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. Take the rear wheel off, take the rectifier off, and then take the shock off. So let's go and do that. So those of you not too sure about what to do, there's the owner's manual, looking at page 143, rear wheel removal. Yeah, so what do I need? 27 mil for the locking nut, and then a 12 mil, and then a 10 mil just to undo the 2 bolts here on either side, and then we'll knock through the axle and then take the rear wheel off. So let's crack on. So there we go, that took me about 2 minutes to get that out, and just keep everything away from any dusty floor, etc. So keep that stored somewhere safe. And when you put it back, it's always maybe a good idea to put a little bit of grease on it just to save it rusting, and makes it easier to get it in and out next time you need to do it. All right. Obviously wear gloves, that's a good idea. So now that the rear wheel's off, we're going to take the rectifier off as well. Right, so the rear wheel's off now. We're going to take the rectifier off. Obviously, you're working on your bike, you don't want the thing to fall over, it gets mucho expensive. So what I've done is just looped a strap through the front tyre around the centre stand, and then put a bit of wood just in front of the front tyre, just to stop the thing from falling over. Like I said, so if that happens, one, you might hurt yourself, and two, it gets damned expensive. So this is where the rectifier sits, under here. So first you need to just move the rubber boots off of there's two plugs, a grey plug and a black plug. So just pull those rubber boots back, and then with your socket set 10mm, just undo two of the bolts to remove the rectifier. There's one. And I've already removed the second one, so the rectifier will come away. And then you see there's a grey plug and a black plug. So I'll show you how we take them off. There is a little clip. I'll show you once I've taken them off. And you push the clip which is closest to the electric cable and the preload knob. Push that clip in and then just slide it off. This grey one was a pain in the arse to get off first because it was covered in a bit of road grime, whereas the black one was very easy to get off. Again, push the clip on the plug and then slide the plug away from the rectifier. So it is a bit of a faff, and it is there somehow. Right, there we go. So that's off, and then there's the rectifier. You've got grey plug, black plug. I'm just going to show you one of the grey plugs. So that's how the rectifier sits on the plug. If you imagine that's screwed into the bike, see the bit of dirt on there. So that's how it's sat in there, like that. So remove the plug, and you just see this little arm here. Just push down that arm, and then that just pulls up a pin or something. Push down that, and then waggle it off. I've already downloaded the PDF service manual for this bike, which is on my computer, and I did download the regulator rectifier removal installation page, just for reference, and also the shock absorber removal installation page as well. So we're up to about 10 minutes at this moment in time. Some people on the internet say take off the preload adjuster knob, so I'm going to do that, and then we'll take off the shock absorber, having undone all the bolts and bits and bobs. So let's go and do that now. Take your star head screwdriver, hold the preload adjuster knob, and then just take the screw out. Off comes the screw, says he. Off comes the screw. There's the black adjuster knob, and then you've also got this part that sits over the shaft. So that's all good. But before we do any of this, I've just put this strap from the handrail down to the swinging arm, just to support the swinging arm, to stop it sort of flapping on the floor. So okay, what we have to do now is remove two bolts. We have to remove the lower cushion arm bolt, which is this one, and then once we've done that, we can remove the shock absorber lower mount bolt, which is the one just under here. So this is a 17mm with a 14mm on the back of it. So let's do that one first. So both these lower bolts are 17mm on this side, and then 14mm on the other side. So let's undo those. There's one, and there's a 17, and then there's a 14. Right, so I've loosened the bolt that I can't get to, so I'm just going to take the weight up off the swinging arm just to be able to get this bolt out, which, there we go, that's come out. And then that lowers this, and then with the strap that I've put on already, that means the swinging arm doesn't fall down, so I can work with this one without having to worry about the swinging arm. So there's the 17, there's the 14, and obviously when we put everything back, we'll just torque it up to the correct torque specs. Right, so that is both bolts out now, and I've just put them back into their respective holes so I know where they are and I know which way around they go. So that's the lower part of the shock is free, and now we've just got to undo the top mounting bolt for the shock. So what we've got now is a extension bar 17mm through here, and then around the other side a little, I don't know what you call that, a curved extension bar. I haven't got a straight one. That's a 40mm for the other side, and I've just put a towel just in here, just under the reservoir, just to protect the swing arm from being scratched if it drops down suddenly, because obviously it's been held at the top by the bolt and the bar going through it. So let's undo it. Well, it must be up because the nut's fallen off. So I think I'm just going to use a screwdriver to push the bar through whilst supporting the reservoir. Yep, so it's fallen out the other side. Hopefully I can retrieve it. And yep, so glad I put the towel there, so it's just resting on the towel now. So the bolt's fallen down there somewhere. I'll try and reclaim it once we've got the shock out. So that's the nut there, so pop that somewhere safe. So let's crack on and try and get this shock out, which everybody seems to have a problem getting the shock out. So let's crack on with it and see how hard it's going to be. Right, I'm just going to get the chain out of the way and just move that to the floor. Obviously still got the old gloves on. So what I'm going to do is just move this towel out of the way and then just see if we can get the shock out. Obviously I've taken the preload adjuster knob off, and it just seems on the internet people have been moving this up and down and doing whatever with it. So let's just, obviously I don't want to scratch anything as much as I can, but so there we go, that's up. And oh, right guys, so that has taken me I don't know, less than 2 minutes to do that, I would say. Good idea with the straps, so pleased with that. Pleased I took the rectifier off, pleased I took the knob off as well on here. So there you go guys, that came out a lot easier than what I thought it would do. So I reckon that is the best way to do it. Right, I need to find that bolt guys, gotta find that bolt, gotta find that bolt. So I've managed to find the bolt then, so the bolt has just dropped down, it's behind here in the chain basically, so if the bolt falls out, that's a good chance where it's going to be behind this section here and level with the chain. So just to keep things tidy, I've just put the rear axle and the nuts back on, and that way the chain is not dragging on the floor. I've still got the webbing strap up over the passenger grab handle, and then I just put a cloth between the handle and the strap just to make sure that that's not going to rub against the handle whilst it's supporting it. So that's it guys, we've successfully managed to take the rear shock out of the bike. I'm certainly happy with how that went. I've just popped the preload adjuster knob back onto the shock, and then I'm just going to reduce the preload. I did read somewhere on the internet that they recommended that, so that's why I've put the knob back on. So the preload adjustment originally was 7 turns from soft, so I've wound that off now, and then going to put the Hyperpro spring on. But I haven't got one of those spring compressors which fits on the spring and obviously compresses it, so just going to nip across the yard to my good old brother-in-law, and hopefully he's going to come up with some suggestions how we can compress the spring and then take the old spring off. So without further ado, let's go to his place. Right, so here we are in my brother-in-law's workshop, and our method to get the spring tension or to compress the spring is to put a loop around the bottom of his very heavy workbench, and then we've got 2 ratchet straps hooked onto the looped bit of strap, and then we've put the other parts on the top here, one hook here, hook the other side, and my brother-in-law's ratcheted it down, and that's given us enough space to, where's that cap, just pop the cap on there on the top. Oh, there we go. So minding your fingers because it will hurt if anything happens. So basically you pull the spring down just enough to be able to release these 2 half moon shaped things and then once they're out, take the collar off and release the tension on the spring, and then we can pop the new spring on. Brilliant. So let's take the tension off of the spring. There we go. And the lesson we learn there is don't look down on the thing. That's it. Clean. That's a narrow end, is it?
Taking it off again.
Right. There's the ring.
Yeah, because then it'll help centralise it.
Okay, yeah. So it's going to be the same again, isn't it? Ratchet it down until we can put those discs in. Give those it just needs to go down a tad more, I think. Yeah, mind your fingers.
Yeah, doesn't that
that
push
should go down, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
And then that'll
just don't want to get my hands anywhere near that.
no, look, that's oil.
All right.
Right, you've plenty there now. Put your fingers in there.
Yeah. So, right, that's in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's clear of the nut in the middle. It's always a good opportunity whilst the shock is out just to take that time just to give the inside of the swinging arm and all the other little bits and bobs, the expansion bolt, give that a quick wipe down with WD-40 and then maybe some ACF50 protection kind of stuff. So I've done that now. So what we're going to do is fit the shock into the back of the bike. Right guys, here we go. I've already given it the kiss of death. I've just tried a couple of attempts and it's certainly harder to put it back in compared to taking it out. So I'm just going to let the video run and I'll fast forward it hopefully when I get the wretched thing is. I haven't put any cloths and stuff around the swinging arm because there's a lot more jiggering and wiggling of the shock to do, so that's only going to get in the way. The thing is you may have to just move the lower bracket here and you can just push that right back and it will just rest up against the rear mud guard, and then I'll just wedge my knee under the chain guard here just to sort of move the swinging arm up and down. So yeah, let's give it a go. But initially then I've got the shock in, feeding it sort of adjuster bar end facing up. Right, so that's in. So that is in. So I've just got to now align the top part of the shock with the hole and then put that long bolt through. All I've done guys is got the long extension bar with a 40mm socket, the longer 62mm top bolt feeding in through this hole here, and I've just put a little bit of tape around just to give a little bit of grab on the bolt, so when I put it in and I lift the shock up, it doesn't fall out as I try to feed it through the frame hole and then into the top hole of the shock absorber. And there we go. Bit of a waggle, and so that is in. So guys, we fed the bottom from the other side, so I'm just going to put the 17mm nut in here with a little bit of tape around the top, just like we did for the bolt, and that'll stop it falling out hopefully, and then just thread it onto the end of that bolt. Right, so that's on. Happy with that. Now we'll just do the bottom two. So guys, we're at the bottom of the shock now. So I've already threaded the 57mm bolt from the side stand side and through, and obviously once this section comes up I won't be able to fit a torque wrench on it, so I'm going to torque that now up to the correct torque, which is now on the screen. So I'm just going to torque that up. So we're going to lift the swinging arm up, just lift the swinging arm up and till you feel the hole support it, and it's through, and then the nut is going to go on there? Well, I can do 55 is done, and then finally the top bolt, and we're good. That's it. So the bike's back together now. I've refitted the rectifier, the preload adjuster knob, and then as per the owner's handbook, refitted the rear wheel and torqued the axle and adjusted the chain as per the handbook. So all I've got to do now is have a quick look at the Hyperpro information sheet for the OEM shock, and then just set the preload, rebound and compression, and then take the bike out for a quick spin and see how I get on with it. And then I'll do a separate video on that, and I'll just put in a link for that when I get around to do it in the description below. So that'll be part 2. Well, listen guys, hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's been pretty long, but if I can do it, then hopefully that means you guys can have a go at doing this spring change as well. That's it, ride safe, and hopefully see you again soon. Take care, bye.